Right guys, welcome to another video. What I'm going to cover in this one is bridge hammocks. Again, it's not going to be a long video. I like to keep them nice and short, but give you as much information as I can throughout it. Now, the military have been using bridge hammocks for a very long time. It's something that's very simple to put together, easy to put together, and it's used at the equipment that we've got. What we're going to use for this one is an issued basher, bivvy or poncho, whatever you want to call it. I've actually got a helper with me today. I'm quite lucky, so when I'm moving around so you can actually get a decent sound, he's going to be following me so you can actually see what's going on. I'm going to split the video into two halves. The first one I'm going to explain, then the second one is going to lead on, and it's just going to be me doing it in real time. No talking, just so you can see how quickly you can put one of these up when you know what you're doing. Right then guys, what I need to start with, I've got all my equipment ready to go. The first one I've got is about 8 feet of white string. The reason I'm using white is for demonstration purposes, so you can actually see what I'm doing. If I use dark paracord, you're not going to see what I'm doing actually on the tree itself and the knots that are involved. This is quite thick stuff. I was quite lucky to find this. One of the lads let me use it, so I've been doing the usual thing, cutting it up into irrelevant pieces, and I'll explain that when I get back to it. Right, so the first one we're going to do a nice straight beat of cord, and at the end, very simply, is an overhand knot with a little tiny loop, and that will become apparent in a minute because this is the bit that's going to actually attach to the tree. There are different ways of doing it and putting bridge hammocks up there. Other guys might have done it in different methods using just one bit of rope. I personally prefer this one when I'm moving around the woodblock because it's nice and easy to put together and you haven't got to worry about stuff weighing it down when you're actually tying the knots. So the next thing I've got then, I've got one of them at both ends. I've also got at either end, I've got one of these. This is a spreader bar. I've taken this, it is quite a thick spreader bar due to the fact that a lot of the wood in this wood block is quite rotten. At either end of the spreader bar, what I've done is I've cut a notch in either side, and I've done it at both ends. And the reason I've done that is just to make sure that when I actually put it up, the rope comes up and it doesn't split off and slip off the spreader bar and I fall flat on the deck. Right, on the actual bit here then, as I move behind, I've got to do it in stages so that we can actually see what I'm doing and I don't pull the mic out. Right guys, on the actual poncho itself, what we've got here is the handles. This is the strong part. This is where we would lift if we were using it as a stretcher. So this is where we're going to attach to because it's not going to undo. Simple couple of overhand knots on both ends. On the inside, I've used a handle on both sides. After I've attached the two ends, I've tied it together again with a simple overhand knot, nothing complicated, and made myself quite a big loop on the end. And again, that will become apparent in a minute when we actually put it up. I've done exactly the same on the other end. So to actually put it up in, I've got all my bits and pieces ready. There's not a lot of equipment with this one. First thing I'm going to do, if I can pick it up, is get me 8 feet of cord. With the loop at the end, take it around the tree and I'll put the rest of the string, rope, whatever you've got around it. Now this is the trick to doing it. If I keep it at the front, it's not going to sit properly. I take the knot around the back of the tree, pull it tight, take it a little bit higher, I'll pull it tight and that will bite into the tree. That's where the strength's going to come from. From here then, get my poncho, bivvy, again, whatever you want to call it, and I loop it through the big hole, like so. I start getting some height on it. And I want it reasonably high to start with. It's as simple as that. From there, I take this one, I put it around the tree again, and back through the big loop. That's the start of the makings of my actual bridge hammock. From here, I do a very simple couple of hitches. Nice and quick. That's one end done. The excess, don't ever cut it off because you might need it at some point. If you get big fat trees, just tuck it in the top out of the way. That's the first end done. From here then, I'll move up to the other end and I'm going to do exactly the same again. To get the end with a loop in, put it around the tree, Again, pull it all the way through, put the knot around the back of the tree, pull it nice and tight. There's my tension. Pick up the basher, pull it all the way through the once, pull it up nice and high, back around the tree. Through again. That one might be a little bit high, bring it back down a little bit. And again, just a very quick couple of hitches. One. Two. And that's the actual hammock up itself. They're not going to move, they will stay firm. So while I'm up this end, I'll put the first spreader bar in. Now this spreader bar, as you can see, is actually cut at a slight angle. Now you can do it like this, you can cut it flat if you want. The reason I cut it like this is it tends to dig in a little bit more when you're actually doing it. And the way I want it to dig in is I want it to dig in towards the tree, because that way when you actually put it in, slide it in between, the rope is naturally coming around the tree and cutting up, so it wants to go up towards the knot. If you've got the thicker end or the wider end up that end, it tends to dig in a little bit more. Just make sure it's sat in on both ends, which it is. Then you can make your way back to the other side. Same again, make sure we got the right ends in. The thicker end again, or the wider end should we call it, digs into the rope. Make sure it's dug in on both ends. Spreader bars in. And at the moment, that actually looks quite high. All I have to do to adjust it is simply undo my knots at the top. Flip them around this side. Tied myself up, just going to untie myself. Spin around. Microphone wire was caught up in my legs, and I just simply lower it down a bit. Let out some of the line and lower it down. Tighten it back up. A very simple hitch. One, two. Make sure it holds firm. That there, guys, is your bridge hammock set up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the sound off. I'm going to lay it back down the ground, and I'm going to do it in real time.